And live from the Scheinfeld Center Innovator Studio at Santa Barbara City College, it's the Enlightened Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Julie Samson, director of the Scheinfeld Center, and thank you for joining us here to build livelihoods that matter, be your own boss, and make the world an even better place. Well, the life of your passion project hinges on your capacity to communicate it clearly and concisely. Your pitch is the strongest bridge between your project and the support of community, network, and resources that will bring your idea to life. But how can you convey your project in a way that honors your creativity, imparts an understanding, and inspires and sparks curiosity all in 1 minute? Let's get into it. First, let's start from the beginning. What is a pitch? So simply put, a pitch is an attempt to persuade someone. It's a common misperception that pitching is only about gaining investors or sales, like something we see on Shark Tank. The truth is, you pitch throughout your life on the daily, both personally and professionally. Pitching is a natural part of conversation. It can be as simple as discussing where to go for breakfast with a loved one. It can be the way that you pitch to your teachers with your assignments, to get a certain grade that you're after, all the way to communicating why you're the best person for the job or the college that you're applying to, or getting approval of your job at work. Or it can be as complex as asking others to invest their time and money in an initiative that you're trying to launch. This is why it's so important for us all to have pitching skills, so you can give a good pitch at any time. It's like a muscle. The more you develop and use it, the better you'll be at it. Given that, let's explore a bit about pitching, and you'll come away with a format for a stress-free 1-minute pitch that you can use in a variety of circumstances. So what are the most important factors when it comes to delivering an effective pitch? I'm going to share 4 things with you. First of all, it's your mindset. Pitching is often thought of as solely a way of trying to gain something from others. But from an entrepreneurial perspective, there's more to it than that. There's research out of the University of California, Davis and Stanford that found the most effective people who pitch didn't think about their pitch as an attempt to persuade and convert somebody to do something. Rather, they looked at it as an invitation to collaborate. So when you're sharing your pitch, think about it as an invitation to others to come together with you to explore and work on great ideas and projects together to make them even better. Don't think of it as an attempt to convert or, make somebody do something, kind of manipulate them into doing something. No, think about it as an invitation to collaborate. And the second thing I would say is to build rapport. Rapport is a close and harmonious relationship. The relationship is characterized by seeking mutual understanding and empathy, and thereby facilitating effective communication. So building rapport with others can be incredibly beneficial to your career. It helps you to establish good interpersonal relationships, and this can open many doors for you. Some fundamentals are to remember the basics of good communication, and remember the most fundamental thing about communication is it's not so much about talking as much as listening. And it's important to find common ground with people, and it's important to find and create shared experiences. So the third thing is to build empathy. Understand your target audience, whoever it is that you're pitching to, inside and out. According to psychologist Daniel Goldman, there are 3 types of empathy. Cognitive empathy, which is the ability to understand another's perspective. Emotional empathy, which is the ability to feel what another person feels. And there's empathetic concern, which is the ability to sense another's needs and act on those. As a side note, empathy is also the first step in design thinking, which is a process to design products and services that people actually want. By seeking to understand their needs and their experience before you even start ideating, before you start prototyping, before you start thinking about how you're going to bring your idea to market. Think about the end user, your customer, the person who is going to be using whatever it is that you're creating. Think about things like in conversation with them, not just doing secondary research on the internet. This is about going out and getting in front of your customers and having conversations with them. You know, do they really have that problem or need that you think that they do? Are they happy with their current solutions? What do they like and what do they dislike about it? And how does having an insufficiently met need really affect their life? All of this will help you design better products and services because you understand the end user, you understand who your customer is going to be, and they'll end up being the types of products and services that people want to buy. Okay. The fourth thing is to know the purpose of your pitch. The purpose of pitching usually falls into three categories. It may be that you're just trying to create a social encounter, a social engagement, an interaction with someone to build rapport and to build community. A second purpose for pitching would be to create a behavioral change or influence a decision point that somebody has. And then the third purpose for pitching would be a business or investment pitch. But regardless of what the purpose of your pitch is, it's important to make it stand out by being clear, concise, and compelling around key areas. So let's explore pitching using a simple pitch for your passion project. Before we go there, though, for those who are unfamiliar, a passion project is a project that's self-led. It aligns with your interests, your values, your mission, your professional aspirations, and your strengths. It solves a problem or addresses a compelling need that's bigger than yourself. It demonstrates originality, and it has a specified beginning and end and requires completion of a sequence of tasks. Also, passion projects can take many different forms. Some common categories of passion projects are community events or community-based projects, communications platforms like social media platforms, YouTube channels, blogs, research-based projects, that's either primary research or secondary research, can be authorship, documentation, and publishing. It can be creating new products and services like we talked about. So given that, here's a pitch format that will enable you to share your passion project with others in just 1 minute or less. Being able to do this in 1 minute or less helps you focus on the core essence of your project, making it understandable. It includes content that should always be included in any pitch, no matter what the situation or audience is, because it helps build rapport and it helps build the seeds of foundation of empathy. Okay, so the first thing is you want to share who you are. So a simple way of doing this is to share your name and your role. The second element is to state what the name of your passion project is. So if I was doing this for a passion project, just taking those segments, it would be something like, hi, my name's Julie Samson, and I serve as director of the Scheinfeld Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. The name of my passion project is called Backcasting Your Final Decade. The next thing to do is to include a description of your passion project. So you've introduced yourself and you've stated what the name is, but now what is that? You know, help people understand what your passion project is about. So I could say something like, We all have a final decade in life, and backcasting helps us define the capabilities and physical capacity that we want to have in our final decade. So from there, we can reverse engineer our life to build habits that are needed today to be on target for that last decade that we want. Okay. And then the final thing is to talk about what is the broader impact that you want to create and why this matters to you. So for me, I could say something like, I'll complete the first stage of my personal backcasting project in December of 2022. And it matters to me because it cultivates a community focused on optimizing quality of life and creating positive impact based on these principles that I've been talking about. So in that, I'm able to share what my passion is, what I'm working on, what impact I'm trying to create, and why it matters to me. Let me ask you a question. For those of you who you are close to, would you be able to identify what these things would be for them? Do you know? Have you asked them? This is a really great way to start a conversation with people. Well, you might want to kind of warm things up and do some small talk first, but then, you might want to ask them, so do you have anything you're working on that you're really passionate about? Something that you're just really excited about. And you can encourage them to share what they're passionate about. And at some time, you might use these questions to ask them and better understand them. So you can ask, so what kind of impact are you hoping to create with that? And why does this really matter to you? You'll get to know so much about the person, and then you can also share it. Creating rapport is about, back and forth communication. So then you're able to share what it is that you're passionate about using this format that we're talking about. And it's interesting because out of that, this is the way you connect with people, and resources and opportunities come through people. Even if you're working with an organization, there's people that you're going to be interacting with in that organization. Okay, so the way to use this is, to get that rapport going. And then also you may be the one that helps other people find resources once you hear what they're passionate about. But, you can also say, what it is that you're looking for. Gosh, I'm really looking for a great web designer. Do you know of one? Those kinds of questions. So this is really key. This fundamental portion of, this passion project pitch, you can actually take that and then build your business pitch around that. If you are launching a product or service, this very core essence that you're presenting with this passion project pitch is like the special sauce. It helps investors or lenders or potential customers, whoever you're talking to, understand what you are about. And then you would wrap other details around that, the other details about your business model. So it might be adding compelling things like, what is typically the key problem or the unmet need that you're talking about? How big is the market opportunity? More about that innovative solution that you want to bring to market. What is the management plan? What are the financial needs that you have? And what is your financial model? What team do you have to develop this? And what is your timeline for rolling this out? With all of this, you bring clarity, concision, and a compelling pitch for others to listen to and to engage in. What you're looking for with a pitch is not that, you do your 1-minute pitch and all of a sudden everybody understands what it is that you're doing. No, what you're really trying to create is this reaction in people. Oh, wow, that sounds interesting. Tell me more. You know that you have a really good pitch when you get that type of response from people. You know that your pitch needs some work if when you say what your pitch is, people's eyes are glazing over, they're getting confused about what you're saying. They aren't really interested. Okay, all of these can be indicators of, is there a way to revise your pitch to help make it more understandable? And one of the things that you can do is just to ask people that you pitched to, was that understandable? Did that seem interesting to you? Where did it, try and find out where it kind of went off track for people. And then you can revise it. This is what we talked about. Pitching is something that you'll do lifelong. So why not, make a practice of it in the daily, to get better and better at it. Another thing is, we talked about the business pitch, but you'll need to craft different types of pitches for different types of audiences. Key audiences could include potential investors. It could be those social connectors, people who can connect you to others that you're hoping to talk to get some insight or maybe connections to resources or opportunities. It could be to potential partners, to key employees that you're hoping to recruit. It could be to the broader community to get support, particularly if you need permits or regulatory compliances. These are the types of audiences that you might need to pitch to, and you need to tailor your pitch to that audience. And so one way to start building this muscle of pitching is just to start making a daily habit out of it. You could start by pitching just to friends and family. So your passion project, whatever you're doing, you can take that pitch and it's a really low stress way of just sharing, what you're into with other people. With family and friends, it's a very safe way to do it. And then once you get their feedback, then you could go out to your audience, whoever your project is intended to impact, the broader impact that you want to create. Go out to that audience and, pitch that and see what kind of reaction that you get from them. You can also, when you build your business pitch, you could pitch to well-connected entrepreneurs and investors who may have little interest in that particular market sector, but because of the way that you pitched it, they might help you make connections to the people who would be relevant. And then you might also take this pitch into pitch competitions, where you hope to gain funding or mentoring. A very fundamental thing to think about with whoever you're pitching to is understanding your audience inside and out. And, with investors, when you're asking for money, you really need to understand what investors are looking for. So some of the things are, your business venture needs to have a high growth rate. This is 20%, year to year or more. You need to have a vision and commitment and passion from the founders, evidence of traction, which is, you're making milestones, business milestones. You have a good management team, a large market size and potential, reasonable valuation, and a viable exit strategy. Also, it's super important if you're pitching to investors to know your numbers. It could be, for some businesses that you're able to self-fund, if your business is one that isn't really one of these high growth businesses, but it's designed to have stable cash flow. You're able to pay salaries for the people that you need to. You're able to pay your operational costs. You're able to, carry out the business functions to have this stable business, right? So in those types of situations, those aren't really businesses that are of interest to investors, all right? But that doesn't mean that they're not good businesses. If you are wanting to pitch to investors, you need to know what it is that they're looking for, and you need to make sure that you have the systems for financial reporting in place, because they're going to be sharing their funding with you, in anticipation of a reward from that, or, they're evaluating your venture and assuming they're looking at the risk that's involved with it. And they will look at your level of growth with your business and the other details that we talked about, and they'll assess the risk. And so if one of the things you're able to show is just that your numbers inside and out, that will help you develop confidence with them. Okay, and you can only know those numbers if you have your financial systems in place. So you have your bookkeeping in place, and whether you have somebody else do it or whether you do that yourself, you need to know your numbers and know how to interpret the reports that you draw. So that's a very key fundamental skill, because investors will ask you about your numbers. And if you don't really have a clue, that's not going to instill confidence in them. And then the next thing is, if you're pitching to investors, it's important to research them carefully, have a good idea of what types of businesses they care about so that you can tailor your pitch to them. They want to see that you can back up your business claims, so you have a solid business plan prepared, complete with financial projections, so that they can look over the information. The other thing is, we talked about using this passion project as a core for your business pitch. It helps you start off with a story and build into addressing the problem that your business is going to solve in the current market. It enables you to share what's interesting about your idea and how it solves real world issues. It's also important to be realistic about how your product or service will break into the market and your rollout strategy for your business. A few key things to keep in mind, actually, for all pitches, are to keep it concise, don't ramble. So I've worked with, aspiring entrepreneurs since 2014, helping them build their stories, their plans, and their pitches. And one of the things that I've seen is that sometimes they think that the more they explain something, the better they're going to come across. And that's actually the opposite. It's a really good indicator of whether you really understand your business venture or not, based on how concise you can be with your pitch and have other people understand it. That's why the passion project pitch we talked about is really key, a really good way to practice, because you only have, 3-4 sentences, that you're going to say. And can you get your idea across with that level of concision? It's a really good practice to try. The second thing that I've noticed with aspiring entrepreneurs and people who are bringing their best ideas to life is that they'll use jargon from their industry that's really second nature to them. But to lay people, or to people that aren't connected with the kinds of things that you do, it can be super confusing. Confused customers don't buy, confused investors don't invest, confused lenders don't lend. if you create confusion, you're not going to get you're not going to fulfill the purpose of your pitch, like we talked about. Okay, so make it simple, super simple. And I often get from more technical ideas. Oh, I could never do this technical app or this technical website or this tech idea that I'm doing. I could never explain it in just a few sentences. But entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, are always surprised once they work with it. After a while, they're able to dial this in. And it's so liberating to be able to do that. So have faith in yourself. This works for any concept. It's important to be specific about, whatever project or product or service you are bringing to market. So don't be abstract here. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm going to build a platform where people will have a voice. Well, what is a platform? What is it going to be? Is it a website? Is it an app? Is it a social media, profile? What is it? Be super specific about what you're bringing to market and emphasize why this is going to be a positive thing, why the market needs it. What impact is it designed to create? You can build your credibility by bringing in your expertise and your relevant experience into your pitch. And, you can talk about what it is that you've already done in your passion project or towards your business, bringing it to life. All of that builds credibility. When you're building credibility, it makes it easier for people to trust you, which helps build rapport. All right. Now, one of the questions that I've gotten is how to prepare for a pitching event about your business. So when this is business oriented, it's always good to have a pitch deck, which is a slide deck, like a PowerPoint or in Google Slides, to help you organize your ideas. And there is a certain flow that business pitches go through. And it's typically you talk about, what the problem is, what the solution is, who the solution is targeted to. You'll go through a demonstration of your product or service. And then you'll talk about the manufacturing or production, how you're going to create that, what competition you have, because there's opportunity. You'll talk about the opportunity. There will be competition, and it's important to be realistic about that competition. And it's important then to talk about your financials, milestones that you've completed, and why the person or the people that you're pitching to, why is it, do a summary, why is it that they should take the action that you're hoping they will, sum that up for them. And that's a really powerful point to end on. All right, so let's see if we have any questions. Let me see here. If we have any questions. How much detail should we leave in and out of a pitch in order to keep our audience's attention? First of all, know the parameters. Know the parameters of who you're pitching to. So if you are pitching out a competition, there will be rules and guidelines about how long it should be. Okay, that right there is going to help you identify how much you should expand or contract your pitch. Okay, how much to bring in or how much to leave out. The places to expand are those places where your concept is particularly strong. So if you have traction, if you've gotten a lot of customers who are just waiting for your project, if you have built things out, you've done your market research, you have good validation, all of those those things can be really persuasive. So you can expand on those. If there are some areas where you're not as strong, it's not that you leave them out, but maybe you're not going to expand on those quite a bit. You'll say the reality of what it is, and people can always ask questions at the end. You can even invite questions about that in your pitch. Okay, so wrapping things up, the thing to remember is pitching is not just for Shark Tank and business ventures. Make pitching an active part of your life on the day-to-day, right? You can even work with your friends and have this be a thing that you're doing, all right, and practicing together. It will help you bring your great ideas to life. So that's what we have. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that this helps you bring your best ideas to life, and join us again next week for additional content that's going to help you create the livelihood that you want, to create the outcomes that you want professionally and academically, and to help create the community that you want around your best ideas. Take care, everybody. Bye.